everybody. Welcome to our podcast. It's called Directly to You. This is the 58th episode. You guys know that by now because you listen to this show. If you're new to this show, you could support it if you like it a lot by joining as a member on youtube.com/fanatics4. You can also join through Anchor listener support, which is basically the same thing, except it has a wider spectrum and you don't get as much stuff. So honestly, just become a member if you want to support us that way. What do you get for doing that? You get exclusive emotes, you get loyalty badges, you get gaming time with us. Like when I play Smash Brothers every once in a while, Falcon's like, hey, let's play Smash Brothers. And then we just play Smash Brothers until 2 o'clock in the morning. That's fun. Also, you know, sometimes I throw codes in the Discord. I dumped a few today. I need to go through my email. I need to start, like, when I get sent codes, I need to start putting them in, like, categories where it's like, okay, flag this one. This is a code. But I don't do that. I'm just like, oh, another code. And, like, they don't all say, like, switch key. So it's like, it's a nightmare. But I think that's all the housekeeping stuff. How you doing, Parker?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I was mentioning before we started recording that this week's been a bit weird on my side. We got our AC fixed at the house and then it broke. And so it's been a little bit sucky up in the Deal household. But as of today, everything's working and I'm feeling fun and fresh, ready for the weekend. All that good stuff.
That sounds great.
Yep.
Nothing broke for me. Except for my Pro Controller. My Pro Controller is apparently broken.
Oh, no.
That's upsetting. It has a dead zone on the analog stick, so, like, it doesn't work sometimes when you press up. It just doesn't work.
That sucks.
So, that sucks.
I mean, you don't really need up, though. Do you? Do you ever
Of course
use
I need up. I play Smash Brothers, and all the characters that I use have bad recoveries. Well, Anthony doesn't, but the Pokemon trainer has bad recoveries.
Do you jump with up or do you jump with
No, I'm not a scrub. How dare you even ask me that?
I was gonna say, I mean, because you mentioned bad recovery. Well, I guess upbeat. There you go. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, upbeat.
Yeah. No, because I was
like, there will be a couple times where, because, you know, Ivysaur, he does the Vine Whip thing, but his neutral B is dumb because it, like, kind of propels you downwards. So like, I'll try to do up B and he'll do his neutral B and I'm just dead.
Yeah.
Like, if that happens, it's over. So yeah, I had to start using the PD. Bob sent me a couple controllers just cause. I was like, oh yeah, I have that. I'll use this. I'll use GameCube controllers like everybody else.
Do you?
And it feels gross.
Do you have? Yeah, I haven't used a GameCube controller with Smash in super long time, so I'd be really bad if I tried. But, you know, whatever. Do you have your right analog stick mapped to tilts or smashes or something else?
I go back and forth. Right now it's smash attacks. And mostly that was because my analog stick is dumb. So it wouldn't register as a smash attack a lot of times.
Right.
And it just made me use smash attacks less.
Yep.
Which made it harder to get kills. So I just switched it and now I'm just used to that again. But I go back and forth. It works better to have it on smash attacks just generally for me with the characters that I use. Really tilts are only useful for Charizard kinda because his forward tilt is pretty good. But everybody else is like, just their aerials are good and you can use aerials with smash for C stick too. So it really doesn't matter.
Gotcha. Yeah. Fun times.
But
well, besides Smash,
anything else?
Yeah, I've been playing some stuff. So I finished Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Donna. Over the weekend, like I was having a lot of fun with it when I'd been playing it, but also just had a backlog of stuff. And I don't love, if I leave a game that I'm halfway through to go play some other games, there is not a big chance that I'm going to go back to that game anytime soon because like I got about probably halfway through Dark Souls and Smash came out maybe while I was playing it. And then so I was like, all right, I'm going to play Smash now and have not gone back to Dark Souls since. Same for Skyrim. Well, there isn't a halfway point in Skyrim. There's just you keep going point in Skyrim. That's a game where you got to just drop it. Something else has to come out. Eventually. Yeah, exactly. But I think I'd only put in like maybe like 25-ish hours to Skyrim, which is a lot for some other games, but for Skyrim is, nothing, all things considered.
Yeah, I just went through like this weird trajectory in my head where you said 25 hours. I was like, wow, that's a lot. And then I thought about it. I was like, oh, that's nothing.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's Skyrim.
I had not, but I mean, yeah, again, it was fun, but it's also, there were things that were more kind of pressing and like new games that came out and stuff. So all that to say, I didn't want that to happen to Ys 8. I knew the end was in sight, theoretically. I was about probably 28 hours or so into it before Friday, and then Friday night, Saturday, and a bunch of Sunday, I played it just a bunch, and then finish it up Monday night, like as I was going to bed. And it was honestly great. Whoever's out there, if you're listening and you like RPGs, it's an action RPG. So in some ways a little bit similar to Xenoblade Chronicles, but not in that you can choose moves and stuff, but it's actually like responsive. So you're not, that's like halfway turn-based kind of thing. It's fairly unique, I guess. But this is just a standard, you hit buttons and it does stuff. It's a little bit hack and slashy. It's just good and fun. But the story, like, just didn't have like a ton of fake endings like some RPGs do, where it's like, oh, you finished the thing, like, nope, never mind, everybody's actually evil and you got to kill everybody now. Oh, never mind, like that kind of stuff. It just flowed well. So that was really fun. I enjoyed it quite a lot and would highly recommend it to a lot of people. I played that and then just started playing a game that we'll be reviewing-ish in a while. And I can't say anything about it, but that's about what I got going on these days. It's a good old bunch of fun, and yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but that's pretty much most of the stuff. I started Crash Bandicoot. I remembered that.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I saw a notification on my screen where you were playing that, and I was like, ew. So I've still been playing Yoshi here and there because that's a pretty good game. It's a neat game. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm probably going to finish it, but that's not going to be something that I like prioritize,
right?
Because I don't really like the biggest thing that I have to say is like, yeah, this is like better than Kirby as I expected eventually, and it's a Yoshi game,
Yep,
which is cool. There's interesting mechanics throughout. Like Nintendo, a couple hours ago, they tweeted out something that I didn't know you could do. Apparently, you can use the eggs to bounce up higher. I didn't know that was a thing. Wait, what? You can throw your eggs beneath you, and they propel you further up in the air.
Interesting. So then you like jump off them, or just when you throw it,
it's like a grenade jump in Halo.
That's awesome. I'll need to try that out. So yeah, my wife and I have been playing that a good bit, and she's really enjoying it. And so yeah, I'm excited to try that out.
Also, I feel the need. Also, I'm contractually obligated to say product provided by Nintendo.
True. Hashtag free product.
And also, for the next thing that we're going to talk about, which is Nintendo Labo VR kit.
Yeah.
Now,
the news literally dropped about some stuff for this like 2 minutes before we stopped recording last week too. The Zelda and Mario stuff. I was like, come on.
Right. I noticed that. Yep. That was wild. I feel like Falcon is always the one, like he messages me and he's like, hey, here, look, there's this thing. And it's always Labo VR, pretty much. He did message me something about the Stagebuilder thing leaking for Smash Bros., which I guess we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so Labo VR, it's an experience. It's funny because like when I just got it like 10 hours ago or something like that. Got here, the UPS person dropped it off, signed for the thing. It was like, okay, cool. Called my uncle and was like, hey, you like things like this, do you want to come over here and build this with me? So like on his way here, like they have like these Joy-Con holders, and there's like one where that's the first thing that the game has you build. They'd be like, you built the thing, you can do this again, more complex. I don't understand this or why they had you do this, because they could have just made you build another one because you build these a lot. They could have had you build one that you need,
So it's just a standalone, like an irrelevant piece of thing just to show you that you can. What?
Just to be like, hey, this is how you build things.
That's so funny.
And yeah, you build these multiple times, like for all of them, pretty much for all of the Labo kits. Because you need to put the Joy-Con in them.
Yep.
It's just they're different because they attach to the thing.
Right.
This though, it just doesn't attach to anything. You just put the thing in there, and there it is.
Well, there you go.
That was my first exposure to this.
You should display that prominently in your room, just at all times. I can hold Joy-Cons. That's
just
all.
like, I built this thing.
Yeah.
You see this? I built this. So the next thing it has you do is it has you build the VR headset, which is like, it's so interesting how they did. And this is like the first Labo kit that I've built, but not the first one that they sent. The first one they sent, I had them send to Justin because he has children. But this one was interesting to me specifically. So I was like, nah, I want to try this one. So I had them send it to me. So the whole time that I'm building this, I'm like impressed by like how well they do this, where it's like they not only did they build this out of cardboard, but they built it out of cardboard in a way that other people, mostly children, are going to also build this out of cardboard. And I'm like, that took some doing, you know what I mean? Like I would have killed to be a fly on the wall in that planning session, to be like, all right, this is the schematics for this, you know, like.
Yeah, no kidding. I wonder how many prototypes of each of those things there would have been too, because that's just like the engineering for something that's got to be simple but also sturdy and like cardboard, you know, like that kind of stuff it's kind of like making origami or whatever, where you're just folding paper and putting it together, and then it turns into a thing that, like, you know, somewhat sturdy, and it's just crazy. I mean, it's not origami, but in the similar kind of vein of just it being neat.
And there's just like a lot of stuff where it's like, why doesn't like IKEA do, like, they need to like go to Nintendo and be like, hey, teach us how to do this. Because like there's just like small simple stuff where it's like, hey, these are the parts that you need. Yeah, there's a big rubber band and a small rubber band. It's that simple. It's not get rubber band X, you know, like it's not get corkscrew B, you know, it's not that sort of thing. It's either you get the yellow screw or the gray screw, you know, and it's just that simple, and everything fits in like that.
Yep.
So like that was another thing that I noticed when building this thing. I didn't get a chance to like dive too deep into all the experiences yet. So far, at the time of recording this, I plan to build and play with all of them throughout the weekend, because I'm going to make a video related to Labo on Tuesday. Nice. But not in the same, it's not going to be like a review thing, because like everybody already did that. Yeah. It's going to be something different. But so far, I like built the thing, toyed around with it a little bit, did a couple levels on each little like situation. So the first thing, obviously, that I built was the VR headset. I'm like, neat. This doesn't make me want to vomit. It doesn't look phenomenal or anything like that, but like that's expected. Yeah. I think the biggest thing that people were like worried about was like, will this work? Is it gonna like, is it gonna make me want to like puke my brains out? Yeah. And I would say it definitely works, and it doesn't make me want to puke my brains out. So that's impressive. Yeah. And the graphics are like serviceable. Like it looks like a Wii game.
Does it feel like, I mean, because there's something to be said for, I don't know, I played a VR experience. It was on a Vive, but the game itself that I was playing wasn't, you know, high graphics or anything. It was pretty polygonal and stuff, but it still felt really immersive just because of, you know, the way it's set up. Like, does it feel kind of like that? And like, does your brain kind of forget about the fact that, you know, the graphics aren't phenomenal and all that kind of stuff?
It feels kind of like, especially with like the tactile like nature of a lot of the stuff, it feels like you're like at an amusement park with like the 4D sort of situations, you know? Yeah, where it's like, it's not necessarily like the best, most realistic thing in the world, but it's like, it feels like it shouldn't be something that you have in your house. You know?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, for sure.
Yeah, so it's like, it's that sort of thing where I'm like, yo, this is dope. Like that you're able to like just pick this up and do this thing here. Yeah. And I think that the the whole thing of like building the blaster and the camera and stuff like that adds to it more than just being like, here's some Move controllers or some Oculus Touch or whatever, because you're at least cognizant of that. Like, I'm holding Oculus Touch. That's what I'm holding.
Yeah.
But with Labo, it adds this whole thing of like, you might not be as immersed visually, but you're more immersed physically.
That's really
and
cool.
It's just like the first thing that I built other than the VR headset was the blaster, because it's the thing that takes the longest. It's like 2 hours.
Wow. Yeah.
Like legit 2 hours. It was probably even a little bit longer than that. But that's what their estimate is about 2 hours. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting this out of the way first. And it's crazy how like throughout that you're like, okay, like it's coming together, and then you play with it and you're like, wow, like it's weird that this feels this solid and I made this out of cardboard.
Man, I think like there was a lot of apprehension going around beforehand. And like you said, I think that like you'd feel sick or that any of that kind of stuff, which I think are very valid criticisms of potentially, but at the same time, some of it felt a lot like when I was actually talking to Justin about it a little bit in the Discord a couple weeks ago. But it was like before the Switch came out, everybody that was like, well, I don't know, the battery life's going to suck, and it's only going to be a 720p screen, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, like all the things that technically all of those are kind of true, but somehow, you know, it doesn't take away from the full experience at the same time.
I think people get too lost in the weeds with that stuff, where it's like, especially in regards to Nintendo, because like it's been proven time and time again that Nintendo knows how to do a lot with a little.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that's their thing. That's how they persisted for so long. So it's hard for me to look at something just on paper and be like, well, I don't know how that's going to work, because like I always feel like that with Nintendo, and they made it work. You know, I'm not the engineers, they are. So it's like that on that end. If they're like, hey, we're coming out with this thing and it's going to work, at this point I'm like, okay, like I'm less on the skeptical side of like, I don't think this is going to work out well. Because
I'd
like,
rather just wait and see at that point. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Like even the stuff that people didn't like grasp onto, like the Wii U, for instance, it worked. It just wasn't something that people wanted, you know?
It is interesting to compare that kind of thing though with like, not the Wii U, but them, you know, having ingenuity and it working. But then there's some really simple things that either there's a reason they just haven't told us why they haven't done it, but like stuff like folders on the Switch and like just little quality of life things. It's like, that's so odd that there's really obvious little things that, you know, anybody would be able to come up with, but for some reason they haven't done them. But then things that take, you know, on paper just don't make any sense at all, or seem like they wouldn't work, and they find at least the best possible way within their means to get it to function anyway. So
I think that's just a matter of priorities, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Where it's like, we look at it and we're like, this is so simple. Like they could easily do this. And they're like, yeah, but we don't really care about that. So we're going to put the team that works on stuff like that on something else. And it's like looking at like the videos that I made about like what their teams do. Like the team that works on that has other OS stuff to make, you know, like they're making the OS for Labo. That's what they're worried about, you know, like they're designed and stuff like that. Where I feel like eventually they'll get some people on that, but right now it's just like not something that they care to worry about.
Let's start a petition because I want to organize my Switch. I'm just kidding.
I have a lot of games, and I didn't even think about that, you know, because it's like, I mean, for the most part, I'm just like, I have a lot of games, but I'm not thinking about like, I'm going to go back and play that game that I haven't touched in 3 months, you know, so I'm not scrolling through anyway. Like the games that I want to play are all right there because they get pushed to the front when you play them.
Yeah, it's not one of those things. I mean, that among lots of other things is one of those things where it's like it's an option that I want to have, but it really won't change my day-to-day life pretty much at all. It's just that I like looking, for example, at my computer desktop and being like, yep, there's 2 folders on here and then everything else is in there. So similarly, I'd like looking at my Switch and, you know, you can only see 4 games right now. but having that be 4 folders instead, and that's it, you know, and everything's just in there. Like, it'd be cool.
And I agree with that.
But at the same time, practically speaking, you're right. It's just not going to matter so much.
I think that's the biggest thing for them is like the stuff that you look at and you're like, well, it wouldn't kill me to not have this. And they're like, okay, cool. You know, like they stop listening there when you're like, it wouldn't kill me if I didn't have it. All right, good.
Yeah.
And they're like moving on to the next thing. Let us know when it's killing you.
Yeah. I think,
and then we'll fix it.
Yeah. So, and some of the, like this whole conversation, obviously we're not talking about it right now, but my video from this past week, that just like reminds me of that kind of a thing where there's just a lot of little obvious things that could be so easy to do, where it's like, it doesn't take a lot of creative thinking to come up with some of these things. And that's just not where their brain's at. And like, just that they'd rather, you know, they'd rather spend their energy on stuff that kind of wows, as they've said before, or is like innovative or whatever, instead of doing the things that like Konami with Castlevania Collection, where it's like, yes, that's awesome. We're very happy about that. But it's such an obvious and easy, or it should be such an obvious and easy thing to do for Konami or whatever. But Konami's not doing anything else that's worth anybody's time. So I don't know. It's just, thing. On the Labo stuff, so you got to play the games? Were any of the games? Yeah, thoughts on those in general?
Okay, so the first game that I played was the Blaster one. Well, I played. There's like for the headset itself, there's a couple games where it's like platformers and stuff like that. That was neat. You know, I need to play more of that. It was kind of like the what is that game called? Astro Boy. It's like that.
Okay.
Astrobot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like that sort of vibe, you know. So that was neat. I was like, cool. There's like a level where it's like you got to climb up to the top of the thing. There's another one where you got to break the blocks over your head by like breaking them with your head. So I played a couple of those, and then after that, I was like, okay, time to get to the Blaster. So after I built that. That's like the one where it was like, yeah, this is like that like Universal Studios sort of situation where you go through and you shoot all the toys with Buzz Lightyear. That's what that is. And there's like a boss fight and stuff like that. And I was like, this just makes me want them to do a Splatoon thing with this.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want. And I'm going to make a video about that stuff. But everything that I play, I'm like, but like, why not do it with this though?
Yeah.
So...
I wonder if the sales of I wonder if the sales of Labo VR will influence how much support they give to other software, which I guess brings us kind of into that next point of the news we missed last week of Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey getting Labo stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Which I'm kind of bummed that didn't come day and date, but I guess we'll talk about that.
I guess that's just, I mean, I don't actually have that as a news bit in here because I figured it would just tie into this, so we can go ahead and start talking about that too if you want.
Yeah.
But I figure it's just to give it an extra bump a little bit later, so like people will get it now, and everybody will hear about like, oh, the Labo actually is great, you know, and then by the time that comes out, it'll come back around. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like this is like easily the best received one critically.
Yep, 100%.
Like I was like ready to see reviews of like, this is terrible, it doesn't look great, blah blah. And the first review I saw was from Game Explain, and they're like, this is the best thing ever. I'm like, all right, cool. And I don't know if again, I didn't spend as much time with it as I'm sure they have, because I just got it. But I think it's pretty neat, you know, like I haven't really had the urge to like dive into VR that much, and this makes me want to do it. I don't know if that a big part of that is because I have it now,
right?
You know, but I can say that like when this was announced, I was like, yes, I want to try this. Whereas like with PlayStation VR, like I remember when I was still going to Full Sail, my dad came to see me and he was like, hey, let's try that PlayStation VR thing. And I could have like, I was doing the whole YouTube thing. I was with TJ. I could have bought it, but he was like, I'll buy it. And I'm like, nah, I don't really care about that. So like, I turned that down. I wasn't paying for it again. So it was like, I don't know. Maybe it's just the tactile thing was enough to make me want to like pull the trigger, or you know, spend the time
Blaster.
But yeah, you know, like spend the time with it. because like the Move controller is like, I don't want to do this outside of VR. Why would I want to do it in there?
Yeah. It looks so silly too. Like that's just, I mean, which I'm sure.
So does this. So does this.
Yeah, that's true. But it's like a quirky kind of silly as opposed to like, I'm playing Skyrim and Doom in VR. But you're like, got this little colorful ball thingy on a stick.
Have the adult Wii remotes, you know, like you're
I'm
like
sure
trying to take yourself
for
serious.
like PS5 with PSVR stuff. I'm sure they'll have stuff that looks way better and, you know, is cool with that. So that'll be good.
I mean, even Oculus Touch looks kind of dumb.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you can make it look.
I did see actually, I was just watching, I don't know what it was called, to be honest. It was, I guess, some new VR thing. And one of my coworkers was watching something on it, but it's like, it's got, your hands are holding something that also kind of has, it's like I don't know the best way to describe it. It like grips onto your hand essentially. So like has a strap that like pulls onto your hand part. So you don't have to be using your fingers to hold onto it, if that makes sense. And then, but you can press your fingers and like to grip stuff and it'll show your fingers moving with it or something along those lines, which actually like for that reason, you know, like the first thing he did was just like flip off the camera and stuff because you can do that. So, that looked, you know, pretty, it still looks a little silly, but at least functionality wise and immersion, probably kind of the next step up from, you know, just holding a controller where you press a button. Cause then at this point you're just using your hands like your hands. But yeah.
See, the thing, like the immediate thought that came to my mind after like really looking into like how this works and stuff like that, like how the Labo VR works, I'm like, that if that does well, that could really drive the Switch forward in terms of like technologically, because like if that's their solution to VR, they don't have to worry about the same stuff that like PlayStation does, because like all they had to do to update the resolution of the headset is by upping the resolution on the Switch itself. So like if they give that enough horsepower and they like switch out the panel to a 1080p one, that's the PlayStation VR right there. So it's like just stuff like that of like that would have this two-pronged attack of like making the VR better, and also, which even 1080p is not great for VR. They still have the screen door effect with PlayStation VR. So it wouldn't be perfect, but it would be better, you know?
Yeah, and I think definitely the PSVR, I think with a lot of VR things, maybe some of the, not fear exactly, but the thing is like you know, the hardware could be cool, but you're not really sure about what the software would be that you would get into. So like there's definitely a hindrance there, a roadblock there. Whereas with this, at least it has, even if it's just dumb, you know, silly games to play, it's got stuff already with it that it's like you've heard people say like, oh, these are fun games. So at least, you know, it's a fun experience and it's really cheap, all things considered. So it's like, I mean, compared to $300 or more.
That brings me to like the Labo, the garage thing, and I need to toy around with that and see how it works on the like maker side of it. But like, I feel like this is missing a lot by not being connected to the internet.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Mario Maker situation.
Absolutely.
Like, this could like, and a lot of people are talking about that, where it's like, it's funny how Nintendo just included Dreams as like a side project, you know? But what if they actually did and they made it connected to the internet and it was Mario Maker but in VR? Like that would be so dope.
It really would.
So dope.
I mean, because the thing is like, apparently, again, from just watching Game Explain's thing, it looks like it's really, you know, it has a lot of functionality in the garage, but it's also, that means that it's pretty complicated and kind of probably beyond my capabilities to do anything better than just something boring. And so that said, you know, it's cool that it's there, but I'm not going to get nearly as much out of it as somebody who will spend, you know, 3 months making some cool little game in there that would be able to share it. And then you can just play everybody's little things, like that kid that made the Super Mario Maker in Little Big Planet 3. The coolest thing, you know, like that you can do stuff like that, but without being able to share it. It's just stuck to, well, I'm not going to make anything good. So yeah, the fact that that's not online is not super surprising, because like, I guess, you know, some people can make stuff that's inappropriate there, which again, they can do on Mario Maker, but just not to the same degree. But you could have systems for that. You know, I don't know. There's ways around it.
I mean, like they could have people vetted or whatever, but
because people will make fewer of them for sure than people would make Mario Maker levels. So you could have somebody really vet each of those games. Probably, I would guess.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess it really just depends on how well the game does.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, like even if the game sells 20 million units, it sold 20 million units. So put a team on policing that, you know.
Yeah.
At that point, you know, like it's a lot more people, but it's a lot more people.
Right.
So it kind of balances out. So like, and in the world of software updates, hopefully this game does well, and then they're like, oh shoot, let's implement that.
Yeah. That would be very dope. So, and I assume it sounds like your video on Tuesday is going to be about, you know, what games will integrate with VR, or what experiences they should do. So I won't bring that up too much. So we'll leave those thoughts for that. But
for the most part, spoilers, what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to like talk about my experience with it and say, I did this and I did this, and this makes me think that they should do this, and then talk about ideas on that.
Yep.
So like for the blaster, spoilers, probably talk about that Splatoon thing. Stuff like that.
Yep.
So you get the inside track on my next video this Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, youtube.com/fanatics4.
There you go. There's a little horn for you. Good stuff. Well, cool. Let's unless you have any last thoughts on VR, let's get into the first of our. We've only got a couple news bits because this week was super slow. Besides the, I was dreading.
Everybody's playing Labo VR. Everybody's doing it.
And also because everybody thought there was going to be a direct. And I was like, I was really dreading that we were going to get a direct mini on Thursday. I was like, please don't let this happen, because if so, everybody on Wednesday was, well, not even that, but like everybody on Wednesday was like, and this is why you shouldn't listen to, you know, people that you don't trust, blah, blah, blah. And if it turned out there was a direct mini, then you know that Game Informer would have just been like, yeah, I told you so, even if they didn't really know. And I was like, no, I didn't trust them anyway, to be honest. But that just would have been. I mean,
I just don't like, and this is a bit of a tangent, but I'm like conflicted on stuff like that. Like Spider-Man's a good example, where everybody was like, put the Sam Raimi suits in Spider-Man, blah, blah, and they're being like real gross about it. And then they eventually, like for a long time, they're like, no, we'll do it when like if we want to. No, you don't dictate what we do, blah, blah, you know, all that stuff. And then they eventually do it. Granted, that was in the works for a long time. You don't flip a switch on stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
But it looks like to the public that they won. So it's like, that's how we get the thing that we want. We cry about it. So it's like, I'm conflicted on that, where it's like, as a fan, I want to be able to get a Nintendo Direct, but I also don't want other fans to look at people throwing the fit and getting what they want, and it looks like it's a result of them throwing a fit.
I mean, it's like a Waluigi and Smash kind of thing. Like, I honestly, I love Waluigi and Smash, but at this point right now, with the climate as it is, as far as just like, well, I mean, nobody's been making a huge stink about it recently, but at this point, it would seem like if he came as a fighter, that it was, a lot of people would take that as, oh, it's because we had an uproar about it, which maybe in very specific situations, you know, has been the case before, but regardless of even whether it's true or not, that's what caused that to happen, which I don't think would be the case. I just don't think it's going to happen, period. It sets a bad precedent for people to be whiny and, you know, kind of just unappreciative of the awesome work that already is done and that people are doing. And, you know, it's just a lot better everybody will, like, I personally will be happier if, instead of like always asking for more stuff, am just like, cool, you know, what you've provided is great. And then like, there's a difference between begging for stuff or whining for stuff versus the videos that we do that's like giving creative ideas. Cause like you said a lot of times, we know this stuff's not going to happen, or very little of it's going to happen, but the stuff that will is like, oh, dope, that was awesome.
It's like, I never go into making a video like, man, I love this idea so much that it better happen, or I hate whatever does.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, this would be neat, and if it happens, I get to do the Switch 2018 thing, where I that first video where it was like, you know, it'd be neat, a Mega Man game on Switch, and then a Mega Man game came to Switch, and I get to make that whole fun bit where it's like, I'm a prophet and you people should all listen to me, you know?
Exactly. So,
and then the stuff that doesn't happen, it's like, I get to just, you know, like, it was just a bit, you know, it was just fun.
Yeah. Man. But yeah, I mean, and with the direct stuff, I think, like you said too, it's just like, I don't know. I don't want, I don't want the culture to be, it's so funny just looking at those tweets, and like, you just can't really, at Nintendo's tweets when everybody's, just asking for directs and stuff, because you can't really say anything. Even trying to make jokes on there is also cliche at this point. So the best you can do would just be to then reply to the actual tweet. Like if they tweet about Fire Emblem Heroes on the day that you thought they were going to announce a direct, just reply like, cool, Fire Emblem Heroes is great, or whatever. Yeah. So, but yeah, all things considered, they may still have one in April, but they also very well may not. The only things like we really need is just Super Mario Maker 2 just needs a release date at some point soon. And then besides that, like, we're pretty much good, all things considered. It's really
just a thing of like, that's why I didn't do the whole, because I did mention that I think that there's going to be a direct before E3, but I didn't say there's going to be an April direct for sure, where it's like, because the only thing that I'm pretty sure on is that we'll get one before E3, because there's a lot of stuff that I doubt that they're going to just put in a tweet, like some of the stuff maybe, but like Yoshi's not Mario Maker, right? So I can't see them being like, hey, Mario Maker June 2nd,
especially because we've gotten so much more stuff for Yoshi beforehand that it would just make sense. But they could theoretically do just a Mario Maker 2 direct the way they've done with Smash before, or something along those lines. I also think probably there will be an April direct, like you said, but it's like, if there's not, I'll also be fine.
Right. I'm sad. I just checked what day June 2nd was, and it's a Sunday.
Wait, what's June 2nd?
I just threw out a random date, and I was like, what day is that? Like, what if that's the day, but it's a Sunday, so it's not.
I would guess probably it's towards the back half of June. Also, just because we haven't gotten the date yet, just seems like probably at this point.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's during E3, like how Yoshi was during PAX.
Yeah, true. Or ARMS was like the 2 days after E3 or during E3 or something like that.
That'd be rough. I don't know if I'm going to E3 or not. I might, but who knows?
Yeah.
And if I do, and the same thing that happened with Yoshi happens with Mario, I'm going to be sad. Yeah. Because everybody being wrapped up in packs, they were like, oh yeah, I forgot, we got to send out those codes. So it was like, it took me a while to get you. I got it like that Monday or something like that.
Oh man, wow.
So it's like, oof.
Yeah. But yeah, so all that to say, cool stuff, crazy and wonderful. But the first bit of news that we have, I mean, a lot of this has been kind of news, but the first one that we're just actually transitioning into is Disney Plus got announced early. I mean, we already knew about it in theory, that it was something like this, but it's for sure going to be coming to PS4, and they showed off screenshots of it on Switch and Xbox One, so we can assume it's also coming to Switch whenever that may be, whether it's at launch or later. And Disney Plus is something, it's not video games, but it's stuff that a lot of people that like video games also like. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Also, it's coming to Switch. So like,
very important.
That's relevant. Also, I talk a lot about how like Disney is basically like, they're the like entertainment industry or like movie industry version of Nintendo.
I said the exact same thing to a coworker today.
Their model. That's what they do. Nintendo follows their model to a T. Like they
like the vault kind of thing.
That's just because like it's their only actual peer. Because like everybody looks at like their like peers as Sony and Microsoft, but really like Nintendo's more so in the IP business than they are in the console business.
Right.
Like the thing that drives Nintendo's value is the fact that they have Mario, is the fact that they have Pokemon, is the fact that they have like Smash Brothers, like that sort of thing. So like how Disney drives their business forward and says, well, like you're going to have to buy the next thing, because like if you don't buy it, it's going to go in the vault and you'll regret it. Like Nintendo does that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much exactly with SNES games or whatever, like that we haven't gotten those on Switch because they were like, well, we're just going to wait until it's the right time to put them out. And, they use their classic stuff in the same way that Disney does as current incentive, which is just not the case for other companies in quite the same way.
They can't do that. Like, how are you going to eventize Little Big Planet?
Right.
Like that's not the same thing as a Mario Maker. Nobody's going to like lose their minds over Little Big Planet.
Yeah. So I mean, it's also just talking about Disney Plus in general. I was already fairly sold on it, like just, it's got a bunch of Avengers related Marvel, shows coming, and some other ones as well. Like there's a Hawkeye one and a Loki show and something else as well that I don't remember. But so all that's really cool. But then my coworker just told me this morning that all of The Simpsons is going to be on there. So that's the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm definitely
also
getting it now.
Way cheaper than I thought.
Yeah,
like,
I'm very happy about that.
You would think that they would try to be like, we're Netflix, like it's $16 a month. What else are you going to do? Not watch Disney IP, like that sort of thing. But they like undercut pretty much everybody. It's like on par with Hulu.
And with the Hulu with ads too, because Hulu without ads is still like $12 because that's what we've got because we're losers and stuff.
Yep.
But I thought about it too. Part of why that makes sense is that so far, it's possible that their profit margin actually wouldn't really change at all, because with their movies on Netflix takes some kind of a cut, of all of their royalties and stuff like that. Whereas now they've got their own thing. Obviously, they'll be making new stuff for it, like, again, the Loki show and the Hawkeye and blah, 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 all that stuff. But everything that's already there, they're putting a lot of that, like they'll have new shows coming out on Disney Plus as well that will also be coming out on regular TV, like The Simpsons as an example, that's coming out on regular TV. So they're still making new products that'll bring people to the service and will be making its own money on TV as well. Although maybe the fan base or the user base will be split a little bit from that, but like not any more than it already is, I'd guess, because the people that still watch cable TV, if they don't move over to stuff for like Netflix or whatever, then, they're stuck on cable TV for a long time.
Also, I'd imagine that if they see some type of like resistance from people being like, oh, I don't want to buy another subscription. I already have Hulu, I already have Netflix or whatever. Like they have, if I'm not mistaken, they have the biggest stake in Hulu now.
They've got like at least 60%, maybe more.
They could easily just be like, well, if you have Disney Plus, or more realistically, if you have Hulu, then you get this subscription cheaper.
Right.
Like you can get a bundle deal for $10 a month rather than paying the $6 a month that you're paying for Hulu and the $7 that you're paying for Disney.
I would be very happy with that personally. Because that would just save us a little bit of money. But yeah, it's it coming to Switch too. You posed the question today whether Disney Plus or Netflix would be coming first to Switch. Which one do you think would be coming first?
I think just because like they were so bold to be like, it's there, like look at it, like Netflix didn't do nothing like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that was like day and date and Netflix still wasn't there, because they're like, everybody's playing hot potato with that, where it's like Nintendo's like, Netflix, they didn't do it, talk to them, and Netflix is like, Nintendo, they're not letting us do it, talk to them. And then Hulu's just sitting there and it's like, we've been on here for years.
Which, that makes sense too. If Hulu's on there, Disney Plus, I'm sure, it could share resources of some sort.
Disney knows the guy that helped them put Hulu on Switch. So they know that dude. They just gotta call him up and say, hey, get us on there too.
What's up, George? Just get us on a Nintendo Switch, bro. Yeah, no, that's... I agree. At this point, if Netflix not on now, like, it's probably going to be at some point, but I don't know why... I don't know why it hasn't gone there yet. Actually, I think, was it Lizdrin? I think in the QA actually has a question about if anybody actually wants Netflix on Switch, which, since we're talking about it, I'll go ahead and ask it now, and we'll talk about it now instead of in the QA. But yeah, Lizdrin asked, does anyone actually want Netflix on the Switch? I feel like 99...
I don't... Yeah. I don't care. I don't care. I went to go install YouTube on my Switch, and then the Switch... and every YouTube app tells me to link it on something that is better for watching YouTube on to watch it on the thing. So it's like, if I have to go to my computer anyway to set this up, I'm just going to watch it on my computer. Like, it just like, and I always had that thought of like, before I even knew that it was going to do that, like, this has the means to type. I can type things on this, so just let me log in. And since it did, it was like, okay, you know,
honestly,
like,
this is
I tried to throw you a bone and use your app, but now it's like, no.
This is one of the situations. I think the typing thing is a very good point. I mean, if you're using it primarily handheld, you can, you know, type with your fingers and all that good stuff. I mean, what you normally do.
The same way that I can on an iPad or a phone,
but,
you know.
So yeah, exactly. The typing thing's a great point, especially if you're watching it on your TV, like that's going to be annoying. And then also, like, this kind of is one of the few things that does come back to the folders issue for me, where I don't want YouTube to be all the way up at the front of my games all the time. Like, I want the things that I'm actively playing to be up there, and just like, that's just taking up space. Like, it's just kind of annoying for it to be up there. But if there were folders, then maybe I'd pop in and be fine with that, because I'm just apparently a little bit OCD. I guess that's not a real thing to be a little bit OCD, just saying. But nevertheless, it's, you know, I just like it to stay organized, and that just feels wrong to me to have that up there. Which, speaking of organized, this is completely off topic, but just as a slight tangent, I spent probably like an hour at work talking to my friend Mitch and trying to figure out how I can organize all my old Pokemon cards in a better way. Because right now I've got them in organized where, like, just by number. So that means I've got like 25 Pikachu cards in a sleeve behind each other in, like, just all packed together in, exactly. So it's bad. I think I figured something out.
You just having a breakthrough today.
Yep. It's one of those things, like, I haven't gotten new Pokemon cards in a good while, but like, it's in the back of my mind that I'd like to do something with them and have them be fair and fun, but you know, whatever. What can you do? But yeah, all that to say, Netflix and stuff. Lizard's comment also goes on to say, I feel like 99% of people either A, already have plenty of ways to watch something on Netflix, or B, don't have Netflix, and it coming to Switch wouldn't change that. You're absolutely right.
I agree, but there's a lot of people that are like, well, I want it, basically, where it's like, maybe I don't want to use that device. Maybe I want to use this one specifically. And it's like, I guess, sure, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like...
And thinking about the typing thing, I guess now that I'm thinking about it a little more practically, when I use YouTube, I have subscriptions anyway, so I mostly just go to ones I'm already subscribed to. So the only downside of using it on like my TV or whatever, which I typically don't do anyway, I use it on my phone or my computer. But if I use it on my TV, the downsides are I don't like the video nearly as often, and I don't leave any comments ever, because that's way too much work. But
like, on the creator end, I appreciate their existence on consoles, because generally people watch videos longer on consoles, or just on TV in general. Like, just generally on TV, they watch them longer
because it feels like entertainment rather than a quick pop in and pop out sort of thing.
I think it's mostly because it's not as easy to click off.
That's true. Yeah,
I think that's mostly why. But like, it's also that, you know, where people just leave it on. And the app kind of like encourages those longer watch sessions by being like, hey man, either you let us do it or you click around on this mess, you know, like either you just sit here and go to the autoplay, or you grab your TV remote or your Switch, your Joy-Con, you know, like, so I think that's a big part of it. So like, I appreciate it, and I like the fact that like stuff like YouTube is on Switch, but like, as a consumer, I don't care about it.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. It's
so basically what
I want it there for other people that do want it. You know, that's I always feel that way about, you know, most things, unless they're harmful in some way. But for myself personally, it just doesn't really make much of a difference. But, you know, I mean, if that said, if a lot of things were there and I started to then use my Switch, for example, as a media device as well, then I guess maybe I would start doing that. But I've got a smart TV, so I don't really have to. And
same. I have two, and literally within 20 feet of me. And also a PlayStation and an Xbox and even Wii U. You know, like, there's so many devices in this one room that can play Netflix. My phone has a higher resolution than my Switch.
Yeah, true. I don't know if I guess mine does. It does. It has 1080p. I think. I don't know.
So like, there's just so many better options. Is all I'm saying. So, but hey,
but I'm excited about Disney Plus now that I know the Simpsons are coming.
Okay, so like, this is kind of a tangent in terms of like our subject matter. But since there's not that much news anyway, and gaming doesn't want to talk about anything, you know what I mean? Is there any like thing on here that you're interested in other than The Sims?
Oh, I mean, definitely, yeah. There's a lot of things that I would watch if I had it. Like, I mean, all of the Marvel stuff. That said, there's a lot of Marvel stuff on Netflix, and I haven't watched it in a long time, so maybe not. But the Marvel shows, I would definitely watch those. Like, again, the Loki and Hawkeye one. And so there's a lot of, but besides that, I haven't actually looked at a list of what's going to be on there. So I would have to think. But
I have a list
aha,
right in front of me. Star Wars shows. Yep. The Mandalorian.
Yep, I would watch that.
Untitled
Goose Game.
I don't know how to say his name. How do I say his name?
I don't know.
Star Wars fans are going to be mad at me.
How do you say which person's name?
Super fans. Cassian Andor.
Cassian Cassian Andor.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. Whoever that is.
I don't know.
Obi-Wan miniseries.
Oh, that's fun.
Star Wars: The Clone Wars series.
Yep, I have wanted to watch that. I've heard that's really good. Later in one of the comments, Grim Haynes like, Parker, don't fail me on the Star Wars stuff. And I enjoy Star Wars, but I'm not nearly as much of a diehard Star Wars fan as I'd probably enjoy being if I spent the time.
I like Star Wars. I've seen all the movies. Yep. Don't know nothing about like the extended universe and all that stuff. So like,
but I've heard great
and
things
a lot of
about
character
those.
names are like, except for like the obvious, like the big ones. Like I'm not sitting Obi-Wan, you know, like I know who Obi-Wan is. But aside from that, Untitled Muppet series.
Oh. Love it.
Monsters Inc. Cool.
Interesting. I don't know how if I'm being honest, I don't know how I feel about like there's sometimes that it works, like movies that then become TV shows or whatever, but specifically kids movies that become TV shows are often not very good. I feel like Tangled was obviously
I didn't know that became a show.
It was. It might have been short-lived. I don't know, and it actually was.
My immediate thought went to like the Hercules had one. Little Mermaid had one,
and I feel like they were better back in the 90s because
Aladdin had one. They had a Lion King one recently, and that was dumb.
Oh yeah, I saw very little of it, but enough to be like, no thanks. Then again, I just don't generally like the Disney. I mean, anything Disney Channel in the past. Yeah, like it's one of those things that is sometimes just on at my in-laws because it's like just a lighthearted background thing. And it's just painful to watch because nowadays, instead of the kids being silly and fun and kind of dumb and the parents being a little bit oblivious, but mostly just kind of straight man, parents, now it's that the parents are super dumb and the kids are all super sarcastic, which is just just annoying. Like, I don't love that. And I feel like it teaches kids to... if I watched that as a kid, then I'd be like, oh, I can be a smart aleck. That's going to be great.
Legit. Yeah. That's my niece. She teeters on that. And I'm like, yo, not today.
Not today. Yeah. So I am quite interested in a lot of the stuff that'll be on Disney Plus. But it's one of those things where like, I could have made myself not care just enough. If it were $12 and it didn't have The Simpsons, then I would have been like, I will decide not to care. In the same way that I haven't seen Game of Thrones, and I know that like I would be super interested in the lore and all that stuff, but at this point it's like, no, it's too late. I've just decided I'm not going to care.
I just don't care because I like some nerd stuff. You know what I mean? That's
true. Yeah. But we all know I love fantasy nerd stuff. So
yeah, like the second I hear like the typical like fantasy accents and like the stuff that they tell, I'm like, nope. I'm out of it. Like that's what happened with Diablo, and that's what spawned the whole nerd stuff thing. Because I was like, hey Bob, I can't see this game, but that sounds like some nerd stuff. And like it's just an instant turn off. Like literally the only fantasy thing that I care even a little bit about is Zelda. Everything else I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
He said dwarf. I'm not with it.
Is elf the same thing?
Yes.
Man, I love elves. It's just a fun, I don't know. Although the first time when my mom and I read The Hobbit when I was growing up, And, you know, she was like, and they came to the Elven Kingdom, blah, blah, blah. I definitely imagined them as like Santa's elves. And so like the first full time that we read through that book, I was just picturing like, all right, the hobbits, they're tiny. And the elves, I guess they're just a little bit taller. And they're like, funny, you know, like just was picturing Christmas elves. And my mom never really stopped in that read through, at least, to be like, by the way, elves aren't like, it's different. There's another whole kind of elves. So I was just, you know, Lord of the Rings with some Keebler elves in there.
Yeah, so Game of Thrones is some nerd stuff.
Yeah.
There's also a Game of Thrones game on Switch, coming to Switch apparently.
Is there?
Somebody emailed me about that, and I'm like, I don't care.
Interesting. What's the context of the game? Like, is it just a...
Didn't I just say I don't care?
Yeah, I mean, you sure did.
I have no clue about that game. I just saw the subject line, Game of Thrones, Nintendo Switch. And I'm like, okay.
Yep. Reigns, Game of Thrones. Oh, okay. I'm guessing if this is... I could be wrong about this, but I think there was a game called like Reign of King and Queen or something like that. Is this a card game? Yes. So...
Oh, I super don't care now.
I think, and I could be wrong.
The only card game I care about and that I want when it comes to Switch is Yu-Gi-Oh! Konami, hit me up.
Dope. Yes, that would be... Wait, that's Konami?
Yes.
Weird. I definitely would have thought that was like, I don't know, Bandai or something. That's so funny.
Nope.
Weird.
Konami, they have the rights to the card game, too.
Wow.
Like the physical cards.
Yu-Gi-Oh's fun. I started rewatching it recently. I might have mentioned that a couple weeks ago, but it's just a fun old time.
Yeah.
It's
That's true. And Yu-Gi-Oh is like another thing where it's like the newer stuff. And I don't know, maybe it's a hipster thing. You know, maybe it's an old age thing.
Yeah.
But like the new past GX and even really GX is like meh.
I didn't even know there was newer stuff, to be honest.
What, after the first show? Or
I mean, I never really kept up with it, to be honest. Like, it was one of those things that
you just cared about outside of the show.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it was a lot of my friends, or not, some of my friends like enjoyed it and stuff, and I was not really elitist for Pokemon, but against Yu-Gi-Oh, but like a little bit, where it was like, I see you, Yu-Gi-Oh, but like, I'll probably just stick over here with Pokemon. And so
I was like, obviously, like I cared more about Pokemon, like as far as like the show and the games and stuff like that. But as far as the card game, I had a lot of the cards, never played that card game. But Yu-Gi-Oh was like, I was into the card game up until that, around that generation I was talking about. Like the second show was like kind of where I started to like step out.
You know which one I did love though? Not card game, but show and elsewise. Beyblade. I friggin' loved
I think there's
Beyblade.
A Switch game for that too.
Oh, but it's I've tried to find the show and they've just got reboots of it, and the new Beyblades just suck. So all that stuff.
It's all dumb. It's all dumb. But Disney Plus is not. So that's the thesis statement. You are so
correct. It's going to be
our non-Nintendo segment.
It's going to be great and so good. Also, on the just last thingy on the non-games, One Punch Man new episode out yesterday, and I watched it.
Yeah, I saw,
and it was good.
I need to watch that. I saw Alyssa tweet about it, and I was like, I gotta watch this.
It's so good. If anybody,
I still gotta watch the rest of the first season. Man, I'm bad at watching things.
It's good. It does a good job. So if anybody hasn't seen One Punch Man or doesn't know anything about it, but enjoys anime, it's kind of anime almost. It's like satire kind of, but like very mild satire where you could watch it, and if you weren't quite paying attention, you'd be like, oh, this is like real stuff. But then there's just a lot of nods to the main guy. It doesn't matter, just look it up, it's fun. It's a good old time. But yeah, something else that's a good old time is Smash, and the fact that the Stagebuilder is going to be in it in 3.0 seems like, for all intents and purposes.
This is also true.
Which we knew from Data Mine, but then we just saw in that trailer that came out last week or this week or something.
Right. I don't care about this. Like, in terms of like, because like I never used that. Like we talked about this before last time when it like leaked from the data mines, where it's like I really don't care about this because there's no real way to make like really good stages in terms of like aesthetics and just like in regards to like competitively viable stages, like that could be interesting. Like if like tournament like TOs, if they make stages, that could be neat. But they're just all going to look boring in terms of like, you know, like theming.
I think our best bet is if they got like a producer from the Mario Maker team to, or just a supervisor or something to step over to help out with this portion of it. Cause then in that case, they could maybe, you know, implement the things that, you know, I don't know what, but something, you know, some cool stuff.
Because there's just not like a lot that they can do, you know, like unless they basically dump a Zelda maker and also a Mario maker and a Metroid maker and a Final Fantasy maker and an everything maker, so you can put all different elements from different games within Smash Bros. Like, and that's just not going to happen. It's going to be all generic crap. You might get a Nintendo reference here and there, but it's not going to be anything worth like, oh, I just made Twilight Town or whatever, you know, like I just remade Samus's planet, you know, like stuff like that. You just can't. You're not going to be able to like make anything recognizable that's not already in the game.
Right. I've got hopes that will end up not being true for some reason, but my expectations are definitely that it's going to be pretty much like what we've gotten before, but with a little bit, just a tiny bit more.
They're just like, how trolly can you make this level and like immediately never play it again? Like I feel like most of the levels that I played in like the Brawl days, because again, I didn't even know that Wii U even had it. Like that's how little I cared about that mode. It was just all either somebody writing their name, like Logan literally did in his video. He wrote Logan in his video. Or just making it like all lava or cannons or like, you know, dumb stuff like that. And I mean, I'd be down if they make it better than that and you can make like competitively viable, like interesting levels.
I will say, regardless of its quality, I think they are releasing it at the best possible time. Specifically, that when it launched with, you know, when it was just like on the base Smash 4 and Brawl, for Brawl, it was, I'm sure, cool. A lot of people were, you know, messing around with it or whatever, but internet culture, like there just wasn't quite as much there to be able to share stuff and all that. And then when it came out on Smash 4, it's, you know, even if people could do cool stuff, everybody was just playing the game itself, not.
I feel like but I feel like most people were in the same camp that I was in, where it's like didn't even know it was a thing.
Completely like blindsided because who cares? We just want to play Smash. Whereas right now it's coming out, you know, 4 months after the fact. So everybody's been playing Smash, so they can take a couple minutes to go check out this new feature that's being added. And also the fact that now Nintendo doesn't have, you know, the same copyright strike issues that they used to have. You know, you should be able to share stuff better. And it's also before Mario Maker. So that's good because then, you know, a lot of that creative energy will go there. So like it's in a poised spot to do to be able to know the coolest possible things you can do. But that's still a question of what's the top limit there? It might still be pretty low. So, but yeah, something else that's got a limit that's a little too low is cart sizes on Switch and their prices and stuff like that. Specifically, Wolfenstein Youngblood is going to come out on day and date on Switch with all the other consoles, which is great, on July 26th. But the physical version for Wolfenstein Youngblood will not have an actual cartridge in it. It'll just have a download code. This game is $30 as opposed to a full $60. But yeah, there's some stuff. Thoughts on all that, AJ?
I'm down. I played the first one, hashtag free product. Nintendo sent me that. I don't know if they're going to send me this one or not. It's weird with third party stuff because it's rare that like I'll request a third party thing, but there's certain times where they want to be able to be like, hey, this is a game that's on Switch, and they want to do like a big push for it. So maybe I'll be able to like update my thoughts on that. Well, I'll probably pick it up anyway because it's $30.
Yeah,
so that's neat. It's, you know, more shooters on Switch that are made by competent developers. Also, I do like how much Bethesda is supporting Switch just generally. So that's dope. First thing that I can think of, other than I guess Mortal Kombat 11, that is coming day and date. But even Mortal Kombat 11 is weird because like they're like real cagey with it.
Yeah,
like people played it at PAX. Like I literally saw the game playing at PAX.
Yeah,
and they're like, we don't want to show that much, which. Footage. Like they released like 2-3 minutes of footage or something stupid like that. It's like, just show the game. Everybody knows it's not going to look like Xbox One X. Like we all understand this.
It is a little bit odd. I mean, I guess I can understand if they want it to look as good as it possibly can when they release that footage, and that they don't want like a Digital Foundry kind of situation where they put out an early build and Digital Foundry's like, well, what does it look like? And they're like, it's not that great. And then a lot of people just write it off completely. Like I understand that for sure, but at the same time,
but like
you can put caveats
how
out.
like what are their expectations between now and launch time? Like what is it coming out like in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's the 23rd, I think.
Yeah, like come on.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. It seems like, at this point, they could definitely stand to put out some footage, which, I mean, again, maybe if they wouldn't put that in a direct at this point, because even if they had a direct like next week or something, so before the game comes out, I think that's just probably not something, well, they put it in the state of play. And so, I don't know. But typically, that's not the type of thing that Nintendo puts in their directs, is like, reminder, here's a game. They'll put out like, here's some new information.
It's their game.
Yeah.
Like they'll do it sometimes with their games.
Or unless there's like a specific mode that's exclusive to Switch or whatever, which I doubt for this. But, may happen. Maybe they're waiting for something like that. But we'll see it sooner or later.
What are your thoughts on the physical situation where it's like you just get the box and you don't get the cart and all that stuff?
I don't really care for me personally. But I do understand that it's like, it's hard to say. It's one of those things where it really kind of depends for each person whether it actually matters or not. And for some people, I can understand that mattering. I do also understand just the limitations of, it's a $30 game. Probably the file size is more than 16 gigabytes, I would guess, which means that in that case, like, they really they definitely can't afford a 32 gig, but they theoretically could put in like an 8 gig and get some downloads on there or whatever. Cause like, I know some other places have pointed out that Dragon's Dogma Arisen is coming out in like 2 weeks or so. And that one also is $30 and is on a 16 gig cart, and they just going to put it out anyway. So, I guess the fact that that one's an old game, so it's a port. So, there's less money invested in it in that sense, but yeah, seems like they're just trying to keep their profit margins up as much as possible, and they don't want to take the risk, probably, especially with the stuff that's happened with Fallout 76. Like it makes sense why they would do it. As far as, being like appalled or offended or not caring, I'm more on the side of like, I get it. Like I don't really care too much, but I do feel bad for anybody who.
I just don't know. Yeah. I know people that like are big in the physical stuff, right? But for the most part, they just want the box, like to be able to have in their collection and all that stuff. And like, that's understandable, I guess. But like wanting the cartridge, why?
Yeah. All I can imagine is like to be able to resell the game. But at that point, like,
true.
I don't know. I don't do that anyway, so I don't have a good grasp on.
Yeah, I just feel like at the end of the day, I don't do that, and I haven't like. I feel like the last time I did that was like when I was like younger, and I didn't have disposable income to buy games. So I was like, either I wait until Christmas or birthday or something like that, or I trade in the thing to get the next thing. And I regret doing that now. Totally. Where it's like, at the end of the day, even if I don't like a game, I'm wasting money.
Yeah.
Like, I know for the most part, people look at it and they're like, well, I'm not, because I'm getting money back or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like at the end of the day, you're still paying $60 for that new game, but you're getting less than what you paid for with the first game. So it's like, it's like a payment plan on a credit card or something. You're paying interest on this game. And it's just like, it's not worth it. Like, so in that regard, like I feel for the people that are like, I just want to get the next thing, and I can't unless it's birthday, Christmas, blah blah blah. But like at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. Just wait for it. Just wait.
Yeah, I mean, and speaking of waiting, if you don't have a Switch, but you really wanted to play Octopath Traveler, you could have waited to play it on the PC because it's coming out there. I don't know if we had more thoughts on Wolfenstein Youngblood, but
that was like that whole port situation. That was out of left field. I didn't expect that at all.
Also, because it hasn't even been it won't have been a full year, which is interesting to me. So it doesn't seem like, I mean, obviously the Switch had exclusivity in some regards, but it wasn't a full year exclusivity, which is just interesting to me.
I wonder if they ever had like full exclusivity. That's what
I wonder too.
Or if it was a thing of just like, because like, I would think that if they're going to put it on PC, if they're able to put it on other things, they would put it on other things. So I feel like maybe Nintendo had a deal to have console exclusivity, and PC was just a thing that's like, hey, if you want to do it, whatever. And Square Enix is like, we'll get to it when we get to it.
I think that probably is probably about right. And I think honestly, the fact that it came out that it was exclusive to Switch, I think really did help with the sales as well. Because there's a certain amount of like, if you own a platform and and a game's coming out that's exclusive to that, then like you have more incentive to be like, yes, I will take ownership of this thing and I'm gonna buy it or whatever. Whereas if it came out to multiple platforms, including PC, I think now everybody, like lots of people went in and bought it on Switch, but then it also got a lot of hype when it came out. A lot of people wanted to play it if they didn't have a Switch and they've got a PC or whatever. So, now a large upswell as well will happen. So it'll have kind of two life cycles instead of having probably a stilted one life cycle that it could have had. So yeah, I mean, and I don't know if anybody is like, oh, that's not supposed to go to PC. That's a Switch game. If it were Mario or something, I would definitely get that. But with this, it's Square Enix. It's third party. Like, it was a great game. It ran its course as far as this specific one. So it going somewhere else isn't really a big deal. Like, awesome that more people are getting to enjoy it, in my opinion.
Right. Also, the fact that it's PC is like...
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's not really any, like, fanboy stuff of Nintendo versus PC. Like, honestly, a lot of times, like... Bob's philosophy, at least when the Switch first came out, was that the two are very complementary, which I mean makes sense to me. Except for so many indie games are coming to Switch now that it's like, that was a big thing for PC for sure, is playing indie games. But that's
right. I mean, it's kind of just like it's the dichotomy of like, if you want the third party games, you might as well get it at the best possible place if that's what you're in it for. Exactly. Like, I want the graphics. The best place for that in terms of graphics is going to be PC. And then you also have the Switch for everything else.
Yep. And a lot of games will come out to PC that may not come out to like the Xbox or something like that, because maybe it's a JRPG or something and they just don't really care about it on the Xbox, but they'll go to Switch, PS4 and PC, or just PS4 and PC or something like that. So all that to say, PC fans, well, I mean, everybody listening here has a Switch probably, but that's just, I'm excited for them to get to try to play it. I really enjoyed it. I've talked about it at least once, probably more, but I enjoyed playing it a whole lot. So there we go. But you know what?
Hashtag free product that I didn't get. Logan got
nice. What was his thoughts on it? I don't remember if he played it or not.
I don't know. Never knew, because and that's why I eased up on letting him get the Nintendo codes, because I feel bad. Like, there's nothing in there that says like you have to make a video about this, right? Yeah. But like, if I'm going to request something, I want to at least have a tweet. Like, I want to like Labo, right? Like, I immediately started making some form of content once I got the thing. So on that level, like, I really don't know anything about Labo. About Octopath, because I didn't play it because of that.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I earlier had a segue and then we kept talking. So you know what, blah, 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 insert segue, comments from you guys on our videos. We made some videos this week, and we like taking...
We did?
I did. I don't know about you. Maybe it just appeared
out
of nowhere.
I had no clue that I had made a video. I didn't know that.
Yeah, what a pro. So we're also we were talking about this before the show. I think finally, like, algorithm is starting to fall back into place a little bit, which is relieving.
A little bit. We're ticking back up to where we were, Eventually we'll have like the, you know, like the 20,000-30,000 ish views that we would get, you know, from here, like pretty often. Yeah. But we're on our way. So just, you know, if you like our videos, just keep commenting, sharing, and doing all that good dear stuff.
Yep. And we appreciate everybody for just, you know, watching our videos and hanging out and having a good time, and especially being part of the community, which is, you know, just honestly what, like, we love to read comments and talk about them and all that stuff and just interact with you guys.
This show literally exists for that reason. Like, we made this show so we can, like, engage with the community and talk back to you talking back to us.
Exactly. So on that note, let's hear what you have to say to us on AJ's video that came out on Tuesday. So first up, we got Blastoro the Axolot. Ooh, that's a thing right there. Love it. He says, I just got to get my Pikmin 4. My fave game that I played so far this year is Rhythm Heaven Megamix. I've been planning to at least get my hands on one of the games, and I did. That was a choice I won't regret.
That is a game, and I responded to him on this comment. It's a game that I want to check out, especially after playing Mario Party, or a series that I want to check out. I don't know if I'm going to check that one out because it's 3DS. You know what I mean? 3DS.
Yeah.
Who's playing that anymore?
True.
But yeah, like after playing the Mario Party, like music mini games and stuff like that, it's kind of like that Rhythm Heaven sort of scenario. And like put it on Switch. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Pikmin 4 also, yes, please. Pikmin 3, put it on Switch.
I also mentioned Pikmin in my video this week and had what I thought was a fun joke about it. Yeah, I mean, I don't see Pikmin 4 coming this year by any means, but...
No, this year's too stacked.
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, Pikmin 3 is still definitely... They're, you know, Wii U ports and all that good stuff. Could definitely happen.
Give us Pikmin 1 through 3.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, yeah, that was pretty much what I was talking about in my video, was just that, like, you know, collections and stuff. It would be...
Are they even connected?
I don't know.
Because I only played 3.
I've only played 1.
I didn't play the first 2.
I haven't played... Again, that's another one that I own 2. I don't own 3 because I don't have a Wii U. So I own 2.
How dare you?
Yeah, pretty easily.
It's your fault.
Yep. But yeah, I just haven't played 2 yet because, again, it's by the time I'd played Pikmin 1, like 2 months later, I got a Switch and was playing games on there. So I was like, I'll wait till these games come to Switch in some way, or I've got a big lull and can go back to my GameCube backlog. So
there it is.
There it is. And there is Kyle Rush's comment that says the perfect send-off for Reggie would be to have him reveal the official gameplay for Animal Crossing Switch and end it off with him saying, now, if you will excuse me, I have to get back to playing Animal Crossing on my Switch.
I get it. I get it. That's the Animal Crossing Direct thing where he was playing it. I get it.
I don't know if I do, to be honest. I didn't see that Direct, I guess. Was that from...
It was like I think it was
for New Leaf,
the one where they did. Yeah, I think it was like around New Leaf, or maybe it was the one where they did an update. He usually does some type of bit on the Animal Crossing directs.
Yeah, good on you, Reggie. I mean, it's also funny because I think this is exactly what, like, if you just take out Animal Crossing and put Mother in there, that's what, like, a lot of people were saying he'll be doing for that. So I don't know if that was a play off of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said. I said in the video where it was like that I feel like him announcing Mother would be a good cat, you know, because that was, I feel like that's like his most popular bit, you know?
I don't know.
Where it's like, give us Mother 3 in the, other than like the kicking ass, I mean, kicking ass and taking names and stuff like that.
Man alive. Or My Body is Ready.
Yeah, that too.
Which in the new episode of One Punch Man, they make that reference, and it made me so happy.
I did not know that.
It's really funny. Yeah, there you go. Spoilers.
Hashtag spoilers. How dare you? Now I can't watch this show.
Mean, you know, I do what I can.
You ruined it. You ruined it for me.
I mean, honestly, yeah, that's the... I feel like if he doesn't announce Mother 3 before he leaves or whatever... It's like, to some degree, it feels like
they announce it. He needs to come out as like, he needs to actually like, hey, you know, like just like it's normal. Like have him record that as a canned thing for whenever it happens.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
we're three of Nintendo of America presidents down the line, and he just appears and is like, Mother 3, come in Nintendo Swap 4.
Nintendo Switcherooski. Yeah. And we're going to switcherooski up to Matt Fox's comment that says, since I have already finished Persona 5, I claimed time and time again I wouldn't play it again. The more I see news of it or hear the theme song, the more I understand how wrong I was. Give me a last Reggie Nintendo Direct, or a last Reggie Direct and Persona 5, Nintendo.
I'm on the fence if I'm going to play this game. I don't know.
I mean, you don't love RPGs to my understanding.
I don't. But like, I think like Persona 5, like it's a stylish game, you know? And I mean, that's where it ends, you know? It's like, it looks neat and aesthetically, but outside that, it's just like, but it's still an RPG.
Yeah. I mean, I very much love RPGs, and so I know it's great. So I'd like to play it for that reason. But it's a question also of what other games are coming out at the same time.
Realistically, if that game comes out, you and Logan are probably going to have to fight for that because I don't care about it enough.
That's true. Because, yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be published by Nintendo, I'd guess, like a Dragon Quest 11S situation. So in that case, you probably get a thing. But, I mean, yeah, even if Logan wants to take the code or something, I would probably just buy it and play it.
I just think you guys should fight for it.
I mean, you love to see us fight over things.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, I just want to film it and put it on this channel.
Nice. Let's do it.
Content.
We would first have to be in the same location, which, you know, is...
No, we just get on, you know what? I'll be like, hey, I have the code. Everybody get in Google Hangouts and you present your case.
It out. All right, you know, whatever. There you go. There it is. And there's Justin Lathan's comment. What's up, Justin? Favorite game I've played so far is hands down Resident Evil 2. I'm really excited for both Final Fantasy numbers. 14? Shadowbringers? Is that 14? Yeah, that's 14. I'm bad at New Roman numerals. And Fire Emblem for this summer, and optimistically interested for Pokemon.
I did, and I responded to his comment with this, saying I didn't even know he had a PlayStation 4 or whatever he played Resident Evil 2 on.
Maybe PC. I don't know. Did it come out on PC as well?
I don't know. So yeah, that was the thing that was brought to my attention. I was like, oh shoot, I did not know that. But I already knew he was excited for Fire Emblem. He was like upset that it got delayed out of last year.
Yeah.
So makes sense that he's looking for that. Pokemon also makes sense. Speaking of that, somebody made a video with this Dragon Ball Z creator called Totally Not Mark, and he did like a collab, and the guy that he did a collab with was basically like, yeah, Pokemon is stale now. And it's like, how long have I been saying this? I've been saying this for years.
Yep. Here's hoping that
video. So people go to Totally Not Mark, look at his video, and then go to the other guy's channel. I don't know the other guy's name, I'm sorry.
George R. Martin.
Probably.
That's the Game of Thrones dude, if I remember right.
Probably.
Oh, wait, no, he doesn't have double R's. That's J.R.R. Tolkien. In any case, Mitchell Warnick, last up, says, I love fighting games, but hate Mortal Kombat. Their crowd pleaser is the gore, which draws in casuals, but in most other aspects, I think it's lacking a whole lot of what makes a good fighting game. Interesting.
I don't know, like, where do you fall on that, like the gore situation, like with Doom and, you know, like that, all that?
It's definitely not my thing. Like, historically, I think I'm coming around to it to be fine, but like historically I didn't watch a lot of horror movies too, because I'd just be like, they're just trying to be gory and stuff. But then I realized there's a lot, like, I don't know, Get Out and Us and stuff. There's like, nope, just good movies that I need to watch. But like with games and stuff too, it's just, I didn't grow up playing really gory games at all, so it kind of does make me uncomfortable, if I'm being honest. But that's not to say that I dislike it or like feel like they're doing something wrong. It's just that like I haven't really gotten into it, and it still cringes. I get cringy from it personally.
For me, it just not on the end of like, oh, this makes me feel gross or like uncomfortable in any way, but it just feels excessive. and it's like you're trying too hard, and the fact that that is your like selling point of like, look at us viscerate people, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, that like that end of it makes me like, you know, like it's not, I wouldn't say it's a turn off. It's not something that's like, I'm not playing Mortal Kombat 11 because of this, but it's just a thing of like, I don't really care for it.
I mean, it's kind of like, it reminds me of just like combos in some other fighting games where like, you know, if you do a combo and then it does like a cool, like, you know, you hit a button and for 20 seconds, or not 20 seconds, but like 10 seconds, it's like, or like doing special moves. Like, I mean, My Hero One's Justice, you know, your special moves,
right.
It's like, you're not doing anything during it. You're just watching All Might pummel a guy for like 10 seconds or whatever. And it's just, you know, one of those kind of over the top fun things or something. So I guess this is just over the top like, in a different direction.
Because something like, I'm playing Sekiro, and it has an option at the beginning of it where it's like, do you want to turn up blood? I'm like, no, you know, because it's like, it's not that. It's not excessive. It's not like, look at this thing that we're doing. It just makes sense. You know, it's like, yes, I stabbed this guy. That makes sense. But the whole thing of like, look, I'm playing a flute and it's his spine, you know, like, that
I think it's just silly and fun and over the top, you know, at this point, which is, I mean, I guess it's always been like that. And that's the goal, is to just like, wow, look how creative and funny it is. But yeah, at the same time, it's, I personally would definitely have an adjustment period where I'd have to get used to it, because I just don't watch a ton of stuff that's got a ton of gore in it. But I don't know. I mean, it's interesting that you say that, Mitchell, though, because I feel like a lot of people that like fighting games have, you know, seem to say that it's also just a good fighting game on its own. So I'm curious, what about it's lacking that makes it, you know, not as great a fighting game or something like that?
Well, if it comes, whenever it comes out, and if Nintendo sends it to me, I like fighting games. I'll check it out and see if I care about the mechanics.
Nice.
So updates on that, possibly.
Indeed. And we will also update you on some comments on the video that I made on Wednesday. So tune in Tuesday for AJ's videos, Wednesday for my videos, and Thursday, you guys know, Thursday for Logan's videos. We got some fun comments on here. The first one I just pulled, I didn't recognize, Patrick, I didn't recognize your name right off the bat, but then I looked and saw that you've been watching Fanatics 4 stuff for a while. So you were obviously in on the joke.
Yeah, I immediately recognized.
So I apologize for that. But yeah, he said, finally, Park again. Who are those other people on your channel? And that was just, you know, playing with the old bit. So Patrick, thank you for the humors and the funniness, as it were.
True, though. Who are they?
AJ sucks at Smash, and Logan. That is all. End podcast.
Tell me more.
And Logan is tall. We'll go with those.
Neither one of these things are true.
I don't know. I don't even know. That is an odd thing. Like, so I mean, AJ, you and I have never met in person, although I might be up your way later this year. So we'll see how that pans out. But,
that's true.
But yeah, that's always funny. Like meeting someone in person. It's like, oh, I thought you were going to be like 6'3", but you're 2'3" or whatever, you know.
Logan is like, I don't know, like 5'7" or something like that.
He always strikes me as like a tall type of guy.
No.
Interesting.
No. I'm like average. I'm like 5'11".
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm like 5'10". So neat.
So there it is.
Crazy time. That's what you tune in for. That's the good stuff. But we got even more other stuff. All right, so next up. So yeah, my video was on like classic game collections. And so some of these, I just pulled comments that I asked everybody what would be some cool collections you'd like to see, or all that kind of stuff. So Caleb Rosa says, I think Kirby's Dream Collection is the best example of a game collection done right. Not only do you get $60 for 6 full games, but you also get 5 extra digital and physical bonuses. Among them were a collection of minigame challenges, kind of like NES Remix, a whole gallery of Kirby's history, 3 episodes of the Kirby TV show, a pamphlet full of Kirby art and behind-the-scenes content, and a soundtrack CD. Imagine if we got something like this for Metroid, Earthbound, or Pokemon.
OMG, Pokemon though. What?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about a Pokemon collection.
See, I did think about it, and I didn't mention it because I'm trying to figure out, like, with RPGs or games like kind of like that, or like, you know, longer games, which Pokemon's shorter for an RPG, I guess. But I mean, it would be interesting, but like, how would you want to do it? Would you do like red, blue, gold, and silver, or like just one of each? I don't know. Yeah. What would be your way of doing that?
I mean, my mind immediately just goes to them doing it all in one thing. So like maybe it wouldn't really make sense in terms of like putting it on a cartridge and being like, you can select Pokemon Ruby and Pokemon, you know, like not that sort of thing. I just kind of want them to do like the first 3 regions in one game. Yeah.
You mean like one game? Like
like gold and silver, like how that had the first 2 regions.
Yep, that would be very nice.
Something like that.
Which, I mean, at that point, it's pretty much more of a remake kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Would be definitely super cool. And like Caleb, your point of that's the way a collection should be done, where it's like honoring the fans or whatever of like, here's, you know, you've loved this series for years. Here's a whole bunch of stuff. And so I don't think we would get a lot of, especially the physical content, but like, honestly, Mega Man Legacy Collection, it sounded like, I didn't play it, but it sounded like they did that really well as well, where there's the remixed boss fights and the boss rush and and they had like noteworthy like influencers and stuff like that make levels. Yep.
Which is
so that's just cool, you know. That's a good way to do it, but I think most often you get kind of the very vanilla, you know, instead of the SNES Classic, you get the PS1 Classic kind of a thing. So all that, but and Skull Star Production says, I would love, there's actually 2 comments that are similar here, so I'm going to read them back to back. Skull Star Production says, I would love a Star Fox collection with Star Fox, Star Fox 2, and Star Fox 64, 3D or original. I'd also love a Punch Out collection with Punch Out, Super Punch Out Wii, and Doc Lewis's Punch Out. And then Sly Sonic 03 says, it would be way awesome putting every Star Fox game, most likely Command won't make it, on the Switch. Imagine Star Fox Assault and 64 with online play. That would be awesome.
That would be dope. Yep. I feel like doing Star Fox, like Sly Sonic, I think his comment makes more sense in regards to the games that he picked because they're different. I feel like for the most part, Star Fox and Star Fox 64 are kind of the same game. Yep. Star Fox 2 is different because they have like the chicken walker and all that crap. But the same thing with like Punch Out and Super Punch Out and Punch Out Wii, like they're also kind of the same game, you know? So, but I feel like with the other Star Fox things, if they put them all in a collection where it's like maybe Star Fox 2, Star Fox 64, Star Fox Assault, Star Fox Adventure, that would make more sense than putting like 3 of the same game and also Star Fox Assault. Yeah, you know,
that's the thing. When I was trying to think of like collections or whatever, I was trying to think of ones where they would like you could play them back to back and it would still feel like a cool experience, you know. Whereas I feel like there are some like Punch Out might be something where if you play the first one, you might not want to go right into Super Punch Out because it's just doing kind of more of the same. But then, I mean, I actually haven't really played Punch Out, so, you know, haven't gotten into it to know, like...
according to Mike Tyson, maybe you will soon.
Yeah, exactly. Although I do need to pull up the games, this month's NES games. But in any case, yeah, I feel like there's some... And similarly, that's actually why I didn't mention Star Fox as well, is because I think with, Star Fox and Star Fox 64, like you said, kind of similar. I mean, but different enough where Star Fox, within the game,
are they different enough?
I mean, are they in the sense that like within Star Fox 64 the levels themselves aren't like, you know, I mean, it's the same kinds of mechanics, but it expands obviously and gets better and better as it goes, but like it's pretty much like you're just playing more levels of the same game, I guess. I don't know, I'm just kind of speculating there, but yeah, definitely having like Star Fox Adventures and that kind of stuff with all of it so that you feel like you get the whole universe of Star Fox all in one package for a collection would be super dope. I would be down with that.
There it is.
Yep. And then Nelson L. Mickle Murray says, I'd love to see a collection for each of their consoles like the NES collection for online subscriptions. I'd especially like an SNES collection. This one I thought was interesting too, because kind of they did that. I mean, they're physically, at least, they're kind of doing that just with the classic consoles. But again, kind of, like it would be nice to have those games on Switch as well. Like, you know, maybe once they're completely stopped selling them, they'd be like, and also here's a download code for those same games on Switch. I don't think they'll do that because I think they're going to use the SNES as something to point towards the online or something along those lines, I guess.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I mean, we're going to be seeing, I'm sure, the SNES collection fairly soon because, like I mentioned in the video too, we're running out of NES games, or like of first-party NES games at least, to put on there. So seems like it's bound to happen fairly soon. But I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that exact same topic?
I think that would be cool, but I can't see it happening. I feel like they'd rather, if they're going to do it on a subscription, they'd rather just do the subscription.
And I feel like, yeah, exactly. I feel like they'd rather do all of the games the subscription way, or I mean the classic console way, I guess. And then if they were to do collections, they would probably continue to do them within franchises rather than do a whole console lineup. But I mean, obviously that would be super awesome, but I feel like probably franchises make more sense for what they're already trying to do. So Lonnie Peck says, I would easily pay $60 to play Donkey Kong Countries as is, no upgrades. Same thing for Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door individually, especially if Nintendo is going to keep making the Paper Mario franchise weird and not fun. We're all looking at you, Sticker Star. I still don't understand why they decided to go for free NES games included with the online service versus putting more resources in a more expensive but vastly more fun retro console like the PS Now has. In my honest opinion, outside of Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, and Smash Ultimate, Nintendo has been lax in putting out what I think other would agree, other content that players want. Take out those three and you got what? A whole bunch of indies and maybe some okay IP games? Yes, you could argue Xenoblade 2, Splatoon 2, and a few others. The point is that I'm waiting for the Switch to show its full potential still.
I don't know. I think it's like, if you line up the console, like he mentioned PlayStation. What did PlayStation have at 2 years in? I don't even think Bloodborne came out 2 years in. And that was like their first like game that, at least that I saw, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm interested. But everything else is, it's the same thing. It's like, we are doing an HD collection of God of War, which I don't even think that came out in the first 2 years. So it's like, it's the same thing. I feel like Nintendo was like on a faster clip than PlayStation or Xbox were this generation. Like, we have a big Mario game, a big Zelda game, a big Smash Brothers game, a big Mario Kart game, all in the first 2 years. Like, that's nuts. So I don't know. I disagree with that, but I do agree with the collections that you said you wanted. I would want a Paper Mario collection, and I do agree that the later Paper Mario games are trash.
Yeah, and again, it's tricky because with this thing, I also know, because I talked about for a while why it probably won't happen, which is pretty much mostly that they're just going to do it through online subscription stuff. But that would be super cool to have Paper Mario collection. And yeah, the Donkey Kong Countries would be great. And to your point of the lineup, honestly, I think, there's a lot of different kinds of gamers. And so for some, none of them are real gamers though, unless they play Call of Duty for 300 hours or more. Man, that tweet, that was, or whatever that was going around.
That is, yeah.
Just
real gamers.
Yeah. And Mario isn't even a real game. So if you really think about
we can only hope to be real gamers on that level. You know what I mean?
That's it. I don't even know if I'd call myself a gamer as a thing. I would just say like, yeah, I love playing video games. So I wouldn't even be in a conversation with that dude that said that. I don't
think of it like that. Like, I remember like around when I was first starting this channel and doing the TGN stuff, like I was still going to Full Sail and everybody was like, oh yeah, AJ, he's the gamer guy. And it's like, nah, not really though. You know, like you would think that, but like, especially at this time, I didn't even play that many games. Right. Like, now I feel like I play games a lot more because being partnered with Nintendo and also Smash Brothers exists. But back then, like, it would be like a miracle if I turned my console on more than 3 times in a month.
Yeah. So that said, I feel like honestly the Switch has great games on it, and the indies, I don't know. It's possible, Lonnie, that maybe you haven't really played many of the indie games, but a lot of them legitimately are like it's nothing to turn your nose up at. If if you've given them a chance and you're like, yeah, indies just aren't for me, that's fine, no problem. But all things considered, like, they shouldn't be counted out as not being games or whatever. But I understand that some people want big AAA games. That's the only thing that really counts as a game or whatever. Like, I get that.
I mean, in my opinion, I feel like most AAA games are easier to lump into that, like, oh, it's one of these. You know, like, I feel like AAA developers are more likely to try to make the same thing as the other guys than indies are. Like, indies can be, like, vastly different from each other. Like, there's a Shovel Knight, sure. But, like, there's a lot of other, like, pretty major games. Like, Rocket League is not Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
Like, they could be vastly different and still be technically an indie game.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, even it's, sort of a different situation, but, like, Hellblade is kind of, like, it's not an indie game, but it's also not, at the time, at least, it wasn't a AAA game either. It was, I mean, it looks phenomenal, but it's not, So, yeah, it kind of lives in a weird space. And we'll be getting more and more of the AAA kind of stuff, quote unquote. But that said, there's a lot of really cool stuff on there. But, even if it's not for everybody, that's fine. Just, but maybe take a little bit closer look and see if there's extra stuff in there. So we've got one last comment. This is from Ram Inc. Productions. What's up? Man or lady, I talked to you. Probably a guy. Most of our listeners are guys, and that's all right.
We have a good amount of female. Animal Crossing brings in the women.
True, nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we have like at least 15%.
Well, cool. Well, any ladies listening, hello. Well, have a nice day. Also, have a nice day, guys. I don't know. I'm just whatever. Here we go. Keep on going. I talked to Ram Inc. Productions for a little bit in the comments, and it was fun. And so here's this. And it's a long one, so get ready. In addition to a 3D Mario collection, I'd love to see an NES remix version of the 3D Mario games, all in Odyssey's engine as the Mario's next mainline 3D title. It could be explained story-wise by time travel, since Mario stories have gotten used to the more fantastical recently and focus on Mario's mechanics overall, like Galaxy 2 did for Galaxy, but for all the 3D games. For example, I think it would be cool to take the red star from Super Mario Galaxy to fly around the whole Isle Delfino, racing a souped-up Piantissimo, or adding gravity physics to a Mario 64 level like Tick-Tock Clock might make it easier to play. For the sake of keeping this paragraph short, which is basically my main comment, I'll put /add any other comments I think of below. So extra ideas. Add secret slides as time vortexes and levels in the style of hat-free Odyssey levels. Give Flood Pack to players as an easy mode, along with all the other buffs in Odyssey. Have the online mode be a battle royale of platforming. And within that, you start on edges of a huge island and you have to platform to the middle faster than everyone else. As you get there closer, there are platforms when pressed on by a player, speed up the storm. And there are multiple islands themed after past Mario/Nintendo games like Hyrule Field, Ocarina of Time, Paper Mario, Super Mario World, with the level of detail of Breath of the Wild. Cool places that get people who played those games excited without taking away from the main mechanics of Mario. Basically, about as much fan service as classic Mario Kart levels.
Yo, that would be dope. That's basically like, he basically just used a 3D Mario Maker, like, but in text form, right. Where it's like, I want this part from this game, and I want them to throw it all in the thing. So, like, I think that it would be like, that would be the best way to do something like that. A 3D Mario Maker is just to make the game that people want, but like not give them the tools to do it, because most of it is going to be trash. So like, just make it. Though. Yeah. Like, make the 3D like levels that people want for them.
I mean, I think too, at some point, I don't know if it was, his comment was edited a little bit. I think he might have taken this part out at some point, but also just even mentioning just having, or maybe I misread it or am thinking of something else, but even just having Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine kind of remade, but with Mario Odyssey's mechanics minus Cappy would be like awesome. But I think, adding in like
just fixing the camera.
Honestly, exactly. Like that would make such a big difference. I like the idea of the flood just being an easy mode in and of itself, because that's, which I mean, kind of the twirl replaced that in Galaxy. But the flood's just fun. It's And then you could make it a little bit more challenging because you have the possibility of an easier thing, which, I mean, the thing with this kind of stuff is like, obviously we know none of this is going to specifically happen, but like, how cool would it be nevertheless? I'm trying to, yeah, it would be cool. So good stuff, Ram Inc. Productions. And so you can leave comments like that on the videos and we'll talk about some of them, especially the more creative ones. A lot of times are the ones that we like talking about because it's just fun to talk about. So yeah, leave some comments on videos and then we will bring some of them up on the podcast. But you can also leave some comments and questions on the Discord. And also AJ asks sometimes, like he did this week on YouTube, if anybody has any questions. And we get to those and answer them. And so that said, here are some questions that you guys asked us. Here we go. Squantle asked, I know I already asked a question and left a comment on last week's directly to you, but did you see the new Detective Pikachu casting promo and thoughts on the new Pokemon designs?
Yes, I did. And like, it's interesting how they're promoting that movie. Like the promo is like all pretty much being distilled through Ryan Reynolds on Twitter. Like everything is like announced by him and they're like like he's the one that posts these trailers and stuff like that. That's wild.
I guess honestly, like it makes sense that they got him to be Detective Pikachu for, if nothing else, just that. Like that he's a great promotional tool and it like brings it to the right audience as well. I'm super excited about him being in it and just everything. But that trailer was the best. I just want Squirtle so much all the time. And also I want Squirtle Squad to show up. I know it's not going to happen, but it would make me so happy if we saw Squirtle Squad.
I feel like the starters are like easily the best looking Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like they're the ones that translate it really well. I think Bulbasaur is probably the best one.
I mean, yeah, second to Pikachu, obviously. Man, Bulbasaur looks great. Jigglypuff looks, I mean, like,
Jigglypuff is terrifying.
But in this trailer, it looks a lot better now because it's like, oh, it was being cute, you know? So I think earlier it was just like, we happened to see it in the bit where it was being mad, which is iconic for sure from the anime. But, you know, at the same time, that was like, it looked terrifying because it was a cute little ball of fur for some reason that was being mad.
It's like it's weird seeing certain Pokemon with fur, even though like you would assume. Well, Jigglypuff, I feel like is one that I wouldn't assume has fur because Jigglypuff is supposed to be a balloon, so it's like I wouldn't think that Jigglypuff had fur. But hey, I guess Jigglypuff has fur.
Apparently, I mean, it's got that little tuft up there, but I never really put two and two together. Like, oh, that's some fur up there. But all that to say, goodness gracious, I am so excited for this movie. Like, it cannot come soon enough.
Same. I'm like more, and I know I'm in the minority on that. Maybe not on this channel, but I'm definitely more excited for this than Avengers. Like,
I'm a different kind of excited for sure. I mean, I'm more actively excited for Detective Pikachu for sure. I'm excited for just like the cultural thing that is Endgame, and you know, it's everything coming to a culmination, but it's like, it's not going to be a fun, happy time. Like, I'm just going to be grinning the whole time during Detective Pikachu. Like, oh, goodness gracious. I'm so excited for it. So here it goes. It's going to be good. And then also, Ben Staley, your comment's going to be good when you say, can I get Netflix released on a cartridge? No.
It's too late.
Too late.
They did that like in the PlayStation, like when it first started happening.
Did they really?
They were like releasing out. They had like discs to install.
That's so funny. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention at that time, obviously, because I did not know that. So
I think Netflix did like an April Fool's bit for like the Super Nintendo version or something, or maybe it was even NES.
That's funny.
Even. Where it was like on a cartridge. They didn't actually make it clearly. For sure. But it was like their April Fool's thing that year, and that was neat.
That's funny.
I don't know if he's like kind of referencing that.
Could be
in his comment.
And then Game Boy Gaming asked, "What's Disney Plus?"
It's Disney streaming service where they're gonna own everything on the planet eventually, and that's where we'll watch it.
And then Grim Hain asked, "What's a Netflix?"
It's the thing that Disney's going to buy in 10 years.
Pretty much. So there we go. Those last three comments were from the YouTube community tab, and then these last ones are from the Discord again. So Grimhane has a bunch of questions.
Can join in the description down below.
That's so true. You can do what AJ said. He's smart. Grimhane has a bunch of questions. Here we go. With Disney so publicly announcing their desire to get Disney Plus on the Switch and everything, do you think this will light a fire under Netflix's butt to get on the Switch, seeing as YouTube and several comic apps on the Switch now? Now it seems unlikely that Nintendo is the one barring the gates, so to speak.
I don't know. Maybe if Disney actually does beat them to the punch and doesn't, or maybe if people seeing this, like these promotional images of them be like, hey, Disney Plus coming in Nintendo Switch, if people are like, you know, really screaming their heads off at Netflix and saying, hey, what gives, man? And they're like, all right, cool, fine, whatever, we'll put it on there. Stop yelling at us, please.
Reasoning wise, I don't know why it's not on there already. So that said, it gives me less faith that it's going to show up at any points in specific. Like, if they didn't put it on there already, like, I don't know what specifically would. I mean, maybe this would be as good a reason as any, but you'd think Hulu would have done that a little bit too. So, or YouTube.
Yeah.
So
that true.
Said, like, I don't know. It seems like it hasn't been coming. So whatever. Yeah, and Grimhane's next question says, thoughts on Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch, specifically the relative lack of gameplay we've seen for a genre of game where the visual performance is actually important. Visual performance not meaning a locked 60 FPS at 1080, but at least a locked frame rate at whatever resolution.
I think it's weird because from what I saw at PAX, it looked like it ran well.
And literally everybody's firsthand accounts of it was like, yep, seemed locked. So, yeah.
So it's very strange. I don't know why they're not showing it. Maybe it is like this fear in their mind that they think people are going to look at it like, ew, this doesn't look like 4K. Right. But like to that, I would say you're dumb. It's not 2006 anymore. Switch isn't Wii. People understand that it's not as powerful, but it's still competent enough to run the game. And the people that have a Switch already understand what they're in for, so they're going to get it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think from everything that I've heard, it sounds like it's gonna run and look at least well enough, great-ish, So that said, if you've got a PS4 or whatever, you can get it on there. But if you have a Switch and you'd rather play it handheld here and there, I mean, that's what I would end up doing. Except for I'm probably not going to get it specifically because I don't really care about standard fighting games all that much. But whatever. So yeah. It's interesting they're not showing it. We talked a little bit about it earlier, so we won't go on too long on it right now, but still, nevertheless. Continuing with Grinahane, slightly off topic for Switch stuff, but with the shots fired by...
Trust me, Grinahane, we've been off topic this whole show.
He knows all too
Nintendo
well.
didn't give us too much to work with this week.
Yeah, so slightly off topic for Switch stuff, but with the shots fired at Microsoft or by Microsoft at Google Stadia, specifically the lack of content being a problem they think Google will not be able to overcome at the moment, Microsoft seems to be further cementing themselves as a games as a service company. We've also seen that Microsoft were the ones behind Cuphead coming to Switch. Given all that, do you feel that the streaming only Xbox, we've heard rumors, might be more of a stream on anything project?
I think that we probably, like, the rumors that we heard are probably as straightforward as it's a stream only Xbox, just because like Xbox and on the larger side, like also what you're talking about, where it's like streaming on everything, because Microsoft cares more that you're playing their game than what you're playing it on. Mm-hmm. Like that's all they care about. They just want you playing the thing, and they know that you're more likely to play the thing if you play the thing on the thing that you want to play it on. Like, yep. I'm probably going to finish Cuphead on my Switch. I have it on Xbox, but what do I look like turning on my Xbox?
Yeah.
You're like, get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you, when you're saying I wonder if Grimhane is meaning a digital only. So so either it could be digital only hardware, like they're having the, digital only Xbox One come out soon. It's like the Xbox One S all digital. Yeah. But then, theoretically, they'll also be doing just straight streaming stuff, like with the xCloud, along the lines of Google Stadia and all that. So hardware wise, I'd expect they would probably, would still have a standard set-top box as well as all the streaming stuff. But I could definitely see it, especially with them coming out with the all digital one right now in the Xbox lifecycle. I could see them going, like, getting rid of disk drive just right off the bat with the next generation, theoretically.
I think that I doubt that they're going to completely axe the disk drive. I think that they might have multiple SKUs.
Yes,
if anybody's going to axe anything, it would be PlayStation and Nintendo, because they don't have the same infrastructure. You know, like, they can't do the whole thing of like, we have 13 different SKUs.
Yeah,
but Microsoft can.
Yeah, so I could definitely see that. So I think so depending on what you're asking, Grimhain, if you're asking like will they just have something that's xCloud related versus not having, like, you know, a hardware actual console at all, I would doubt that for this generation for sure. But they'll, I mean, definitely sounds like they're leaning into that pretty hard regardless. So interesting stuff. Next up from Grimhain, can we get more Dan on the podcast? We miss Dan.
Hey, man. Dan, as well as all of our other creative friends, open invitation. Just let me know. Say, hey, I want to be on the podcast this week. And I'm like, sure, you know? Because I don't want to, like, I don't know what you guys' schedules are. Like, Bob is supposed to be on next week's podcast. We're going to talk about our extended thoughts on Labo. So that's going to be a thing that happens. Be fun. But outside of that, it's like, if Dan wants to be on the podcast, let me know. He knows when we record.
True that. Well, I'll talk to Dan and be like, yo, get it together, be our friend. And then he'll feel guilted in it.
Dan might be on my video this week.
Cute. I had a really good time talking to Dan. He's just
Dan's good.
I will say,
you know what I mean?
As being new to this channel and stuff, I can't speak for anybody else on YouTube that I haven't met in person or whatever, but like, just of Dan, AJ, and Logan. I've only talked to Logan a couple times, but especially just talking to Dan and AJ. Well, actually, I mean, I've talked to Logan as many times as I've talked to Dan, but what you hear on the podcast is pretty much just regular person. So if that gives you any confidence in just the niceness and integrity of human beings, that's just a lot of fun. Because I mean, there's some people on YouTube, you know, like, I don't know what Logan Paul's like in real life.
Fake people. Yeah, there's some fake people.
There's fake people for sure. There's also very nice people on YouTube. So, but it's just fun to, you know, talk to somebody and be like, yep, this is exactly what I expected when talking to you. So,
yep. Dan's good people. Is good people. Well, so I turned the question on to Dan. Dan, why aren't you on the podcast more?
You weirdo.
Hey, Dan. The worst type of person.
So we've got two more questions, one of which we already answered, was Lizdrin's question on Netflix on the Switch. So we're going to skip that over, but thank you for asking it, Lizdrin. And last up, we got Grimhain that says, also, you got to say something about Star Wars. I trust Parker to carry the nerd-ish in this. Don't let us down, Parker.
So did you see the new Star Wars, the Rise of the
Skywalker? Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I'm curious what the title means, who Skywalker is in that context, if they're talking about Ben Kenobi, or if they're, Kylo Ren, or if they're talking about, if somehow we don't know, but Rey is actually, like with having different directors and stuff, it's possible, I guess, that they, subverted that dude that did, I forgot who directed Last Jedi. Ryan Johnson? No. Yeah,
Ryan Johnson.
Possible that he was like, you're nobody, you don't come from any family, and actually meant it, but...
And then he's like, hey, man, I was just trying to get in your head, dude. You're actually Luke's daughter. It's fine.
Exactly. So it's possible there's something going on there. Or, I mean, could be any number of things, but I'm super curious about that. And then otherwise, like, we heard what sounds like Emperor Palpatine's laugh at the end of the trailer.
I think they said something, like, I think that's actually confirmed.
Nice.
That he's in...
Don't know what that means, but that's fun. So
strange.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. I'm very excited to watch it. I really liked The Last Jedi. Well, okay, I wouldn't say I really liked it. Like it was like, wow, what a great fun time. But I enjoyed it for what it means, for how it set up Episode 9. for in the same way that Infinity War was like, I don't know what they're going to do for Endgame, because the way Infinity War turned out, like obviously good stuff's going to happen at the end. Like the good guys will win. I know that much, but I don't really.
Do we know that?
Well, not all of them. Some of them are definitely going to die. So that's going to happen for sure. I think Iron Man and Captain America have to die.
Just look at the contracts.
Yeah, right.
That tells everything. Except for Chadwick Boseman. He was. They were like, "Hey, what's going on with Black Panther 2?" He's like, "I'm dead." They're like, "Yeah, but like we know though. Like we know
that's really funny.
That you have that movie." He's like, "Nah, I'm dead. Didn't you see it? I died."
I love that so much. That makes me so happy. So I'm really excited for Endgame because of what Infinity War set up for it, which is just like a bunch of questions. Like, oh, there's a whole blank open slate that they could do different stuff with. And I feel even more that way about Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of the Skywalker, because like it could be really anything that happens. And yes, I do like Last Jedi had issues for sure. And I will grant people that, and especially people that, like, I've talked to folks that grew up with,
they saw the first Star Wars movie when it was just Star Wars in the theater. They're that old.
And so, for that, it's like, I understand that Luke has a special significance, and they were mad that like Luke shouldn't have been the way that he was. But I personally, as somebody who wasn't born or at a time that I could watch it in the theaters, and I don't have as much of a personal attachment to Luke. So I enjoyed him being the character that he was, like, for the story purposes, even if it didn't line up for my idyllic view of this one character dude or something like that.
Right.
But
also, if you also mean the game, that comes out after we record this, but just in case, let's do both reactions. Man, that game looks great. EA's really turning around the ship. That looks like an awesome single player game. I hope it sells well and tells them that they need to make more like it. Okay, next one. I can't believe they made it a loot box just full of just nonsense. It's a multiplayer game. How am I supposed to play 3-player as a single Jedi? I don't want you to control my beam and I control the left leg and somebody else control the right leg, and I don't want to pay $20 to play level 4. That's stupid.
I don't know what you're talking about. I thought all of that stuff was perfect gaming material. I'll have the opposite take. The first one sucked. There you go. That was it.
All right, there it is.
Yep, and that's it. That's all of our comments.
Thank you for listening to this very all over the place episode. Maybe you should tell Nintendo to give us more news, so we don't go off the rails like this.
True.
But I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. Bob will be here next week, so maybe you should check it out for that reason. If you're on YouTube, you should like, comment, subscribe. If you're on podcast services, you should rate us and leave a comment, preferably a nice one. But if you have some constructive criticism that isn't that this show specifically, this episode was off the rails, then leave it. But if you're going to leave that criticism that I just spoke about, like I said, tweet at Nintendo and tell them to give us some news to talk about. Any thoughts, Parker?
My thoughts are Nintendo Switch, Nintendoing all the Switches. That's it.
Nintendo never switched up until they gave us the Switch. See you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.